Imagine having the power to make a man think about you all day without bombarding him with messages, without trying too hard, or chasing some impossible standard of perfection. Just three simple words, spoken with intention, can be the difference between fading into the background and leaving a lasting emotional mark. This isn't a gimmick or a cheesy line from a rom-com. There's no magic trick here. What you're about to discover is how attraction works on a deep psychological level. Renowned psychologist Carl Jung taught us that the connections that move us most aren't logical. They're emotional and symbolic. It's not what you see that draws you in. It's what that image means in your unconscious mind. And that's where we're going. Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. So why not master the art of speaking directly to a man's unconscious from the very start? Most women begin conversations with safe, neutral phrases like, hey, how's it going? Or how's your day been? And that's it. No spark, no energy, no story. What happens next? He responds out of courtesy, but his mind doesn't stay on you. Your words didn't stir an emotion, paint a picture, or spark curiosity. Without emotion, there's no memory. The mind doesn't store words, it stores feelings. Jung made this clear. Emotion anchors memory. You haven't done anything wrong, you just haven't used the right tools. But that's about to change. When you learn to choose the right words and deliver them with the right energy, you don't just grab his attention, you ignite something in him he can't explain but can't ignore. That's when you start living in his thoughts, even when you're not around. Before I share those three words, pause for a moment. How many times have you started a conversation and felt it fizzle out, going nowhere? Probably more than once. That doesn't mean you're uninteresting. It just means you were using words that didn't tap into his emotional instincts. Now, listen closely. These three words aren't a magic spell, but when used thoughtfully, they can transform how he sees you. And when you weave them naturally into your conversations, the impact is profound. The truth is, many women think they need to impress to be liked to look perfect, say the perfect thing, or always be charming. But Jung understood something key. The male unconscious responds more to symbols than logic. It's not about being flawless. It's about touching something emotional inside him. You don't need to talk about extraordinary things to do this. You just need to stop sounding like everyone else. Think about it. If he hears the same generic messages or comments from multiple women every day, it all blends into background noise. But you're not here to be background noise. You're here to stand out. The mistake isn't in approaching him, it's in doing so without impact. When that happens, it's as if you were never there. Worse, some women try to compensate with intensity-long messages, overly enthusiastic compliments, or endless questions, but that backfires. It feels overwhelming, even intrusive, and it pushes him away. So, how do you capture his attention instantly? First, stop speaking like you're reading from a script. Second, understand that attraction doesn't come from what you say. It comes from how you say it and how it makes him feel. Picture this. You walk into a coffee shop and see a man you're interested in. Most women might say something like, "Are you waiting for someone? Or mind if I sit here?" It's polite, it's safe, and it's forgettable. Now imagine this instead. You flash a subtle smile and say, "You and I need to settle. Something, is the coffee here actually good? Or is it just pretending to be?" Feel the difference. It's not just a line, it's a spark. It's a moment that disrupts his routine, pulls him out of autopilot, and makes him notice you. That's the kind of impact we're talking about, emotional resonance, a subtle echo that lingers in his mind, even if he doesn't fully understand why. Because when you create that spark, you become memorable. And once he remembers you, he starts seeing you differently. It's time to move beyond empty greetings and forgettable phrases. In this game, you either leave a mark or fade away. And now that you understand why, you're ready for the words. You and me. Yes, I know they sound almost too simple to hold such power, but their strength doesn't come from their length. It comes from what they suggest. When you say you and me, you're not just tossing out a random phrase. You're painting a mental picture where the two of you are already connected. You're planting the seed of a possibility, a scene where he can already imagine you in his world. Psychologically, that's far more powerful than it seems. Jung often spoke about the symbolic language of the unconscious. A phrase like "you and me" becomes exactly that, a symbol. It sparks imagery, stirs subtle desire, and opens the door to what could be. You're not asking, you're suggesting with elegance and certainty. Consider this. Saying, "Do you want to go out with me?" hands over all the control, leaving you waiting for his approval. But saying, "You and me should grab coffee this Saturday," shifts everything. It's no longer a question, it's a confident vision. And that leaves a trace. Let's try a real example. You're getting to know someone. and the conversation is flowing. Instead of saying, I love talking to you, which is sweet but predictable. Try. You and me could have dangerously good conversations. Feel the shift. It's playful. It has spark. And most importantly, it plants the idea of us in his mind. That's how you start being seen differently. Why does this work? Because those three words convey three qualities men deeply admire. Confidence, you're not asking. You're stating. Clarity, you know what you want and express it directly. An initiative, you're not just waiting for him to make a move. You take the lead when it matters. But a word of caution. This isn't about throwing you and me at every man you meet. The impact depends as much on how you say it as when you say it. If you deliver it with insecurity eyes down, voice shaky, the magic vanishes. But with calm confidence, a soft smile, and direct eye contact, the effect is undeniable. So, the next time you're talking to a man you're genuinely interested in, ditch the usual bland phrases. Try a well-placed you and me and watch what happens. Because in attraction, as in life, the right words, delivered with the right energy, can unlock doors you didn't even know existed. Now, the real question, how and when should you use this phrase to ensure it hits the mark? You've got the key, you and me, but using it carelessly could backfire. This isn't a mantra to repeat mindlessly. It's a spark that works only when wielded with intention. Rule 1, pick the right moment. These words shine when there's already a small connection. You don't need fireworks-level chemistry, just a natural, flowing conversation and a hint of mutual interest. Say you're chatting about music and discover you both love the same band. That's the perfect setup. Try, you and me should catch their next concert. What did you just do? You planted a seed. Now he's imagining that moment with you, without you explicitly asking for anything. Rule 2, tone is everything. You could say the most powerful words in the world, but if you sound unsure or timid, they fall flat. Confidence doesn't have to be loud. It's quiet certainty. That's the energy that turns you and me from a phrase into a spark. Take a breath, stay calm, look him in the eyes, and say it like it's the most natural thing in the world. Not with heavy seriousness, not with a nervous giggle, just with the calm, confident energy that says, I know my worth. Rule 3, context matters. If he's distracted, stressed, or you've just met, don't force the moment. The phrase loses its power if it feels out of place in the conversation. And above all, make it authentic, not like something you rehearsed, but like a genuine thought that sprang from the moment. Jung spoke of synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that feel destined. Aim for that kind of energy. Let your words feel like they belong, not like they were engineered. There's a fine line between someone who naturally creates attraction and someone who tries to force it. You can feel the difference. The first believes in their words, and it shows. The second is just performing. Use it wisely. Say you and me with the right tone, at the right time, with a steady gaze, and watch how his perception of you shifts. Now, let's address the biggest mistake that can ruin everything. Too much enthusiasm. Yes, the phrase is powerful, but imagine this. You've just met a guy, and out of nowhere, you blurt, you and me need to go out this Saturday. Result, awkwardness, distance, goodbye, chemistry. Not because the words are wrong, but because you use them too soon. Attraction isn't forced, it's suggested. It should feel light, like a breeze, not like a demand. Say it with too much intensity, and he'll feel pressured, and nobody responds well to pressure. Here's a practical example. You're having a fun, flirty conversation, and there's chemistry. You're both laughing. That's the moment to casually drop. You and me would make a dangerously good team. You're not asking for anything. You're not pushing. You're planting an intriguing seed. Now, change the scenario. You've been talking for 5 minutes, and suddenly, with a serious tone, you say, you and me should be together. The effect, not attraction alarm bells. It feels like you've leaped 10 steps ahead without laying the groundwork. Another fatal mistake, overusing it. If you sprinkle you and me into every conversation, it stops being charming and starts feeling desperate. The power lies in subtlety. Use the phrase as a spark, not a catchphrase, because when it comes to creating real intrigue, less is always more. Mystery is far more seductive than insistence. For it to work, use it once, maybe twice, at the perfect moment, then let it go. Let the silence do its work. The true power of these words isn't in his immediate reaction, it's in the quiet seed you plant. He might not respond right away, but that doesn't mean it didn't land. He might spend the rest of the day replaying that one casual thing you said, something so simple, so effortless, yet somehow unforgettable. The most common pitfall, saying you and me and then anxiously waiting for validation. Watching his face like you're hoping for approval. That kills the mystery. But if you say it naturally and move on with the conversation like it's no big deal, that's when it lingers. That's when he starts wondering what just happened. Confidence, ease, no desperation. That's the winning formula. Because when you deliver those words, like a woman who knows her value, you open a door. But if you say them from a place of need or insecurity, that door slams shut before you even get close. Now, here's something rarely discussed, but absolutely critical. Body language. You know what to say and when to say it, but if your body doesn't back up your words, they lose their power. As Jung said, the body expresses what the soul cannot. Your gestures speak louder than your words, even before you open your mouth. If you say, "You and me should go out this Saturday," with a soft voice, looking down, shoulders slouched, like you're asking for permission, you kill the energy. Your body is saying, "I'm not sure about this." And if you're not sure, he won't be either. But if you hold eye contact just a moment longer than usual, with a relaxed smile, your message doesn't just reach his ears, it hits his unconscious. Confidence, when it's not arrogant, is magnetic. Your voice should be calm, unhurried, as if what you're saying is the most natural thing in the world, because to you, it is. That calmness sends a powerful signal. I don't need your approval, but if you're in sync with me, this could be interesting. Pay attention to your body language. 2, if you cross your arms, shrink yourself, or avoid taking up space, you're signaling discomfort. But if you're relaxed, claiming your space without stiffness, you project effortless confidence. It's subtle, but it's noticeable. Imagine you're in a playful conversation and say, "You and me would make a dangerous team." If you say it while looking down, with a flat tone and no expression, it's just words. But if you say it while meeting his eyes, with a soft smile and a calm tone, it becomes an emotional hook he can't ignore. There's one mistake that can derail even a perfect delivery: obsessing over his reaction. You don't need to watch him like you're awaiting a verdict. Just say it and keep the conversation flowing as if it's nothing. That "I'm good with" or "without your reaction" energy is magnetic. The most attractive thing isn't just what you say, it's the ease with which you say it. And here's the best part. This goes beyond romance. So far, we've focused on how this phrase can transform attraction. But let's expand it to other areas of life. You're in a work meeting and a tough problem arises. Instead of saying, "We need to find a solution," you look at a colleague and say, "You and me can crack this fast." What did you do? You instilled confidence, showed trust, and created an instant sense of partnership. Or you're reconnecting with a friend you haven't seen in a while. Instead of the usual, "How have you been?" try, "You and me have a long overdue catch-up to plan." What could have been a polite, cold exchange becomes an emotional invitation. Jung referred to relational archetypes, patterns of connection activated by language. You and me is like a master key that unlocks connection in any context. Because at the end of the day, what we all crave, whether in love, friendship, or work, is to feel seen, included, chosen. With 3 words, client, you can spark that feeling if you use them consciously. Compare the common phrase, "We should catch up sometime," to saying with a smile, "You and me need to catch up this week." Feel the difference. The first is a vague possibility. The second is a clear but intentional invitation that shows you mean it. That creates a deeper connection. The beauty of using "you and me" naturally is that it doesn't just change how others respond to you, it changes how you feel about yourself. Your confidence grows, your communication sharpens, your presence becomes magnetic, and then something remarkable happens. People start responding with more attention, more openness, more genuine interest. Why? Because deep down, we all want to feel like we matter, like we're part of something. When you look at someone and, with 3 simple words, make them feel a shared possibility, you're giving them exactly that, a sense of emotional belonging. Jung said the things that transform us most deeply aren't what we think, they're what we feel in relation to another person. That's what you activate when you use "you and me" authentically. You create a space where connection can take root. So don't limit this phrase to romance. Use it with friends, colleagues, family. It's not about seduction. It's about connection. When you say it from a place of authenticity, your relationships become more genuine, more fluid, more human. Because ultimately, what makes us unforgettable isn't what we say. It's how we make others feel when we say it. Words have power, but only when spoken with intention, presence, and awareness. You and me isn't a trick or a rehearsed line. It's an emotional tool, a bridge, a gesture that, when it comes from the right place, can shift the tone of a conversation, the trajectory of a relationship, and sometimes even the course of a life. We've seen how this deceptively simple phrase can transform interactions, spark attraction, and deepen connections in nearly any context. But remember, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. With calm, with confidence, at the right moment, like someone who doesn't need to prove anything but knows her worth. Because real attraction isn't about pushing, it's about inviting. It's about creating authentic moments and leaving space for the other person to lean in. No pressure, no pretense. Now it's your turn. Don't just keep this in your head, try it. Use you and me with intelligence, ease, and charm. Watch how the energy shifts, how the dynamic between you changes, how your confidence grows from within. And if you found this insight valuable, subscribe and turn on notifications for more tools to communicate with greater impact. Confidence and authenticity. Hit like if you want more strategies like this and share in the comments. Has someone ever made you feel truly special with just their words? Because real communication isn't about saying a lot, it's about being heard.